Can everyone hear me well? Everything good? Nice. So my clicker, one, two, test, one, two, test. There we go. So I know my talk is titled No Privacy, No Freedom. But as I was enjoying myself here at BitBlockBoom, I learned big news that there is this super pressing situation. How many of you know that our Gary Leland has a YouTube channel? So see, like two people, and like three. So out of all these people here, only three people, like four, they know that Gary has a YouTube channel. Like that's terrible, right? Right? So what I want to happen is that all of us here, like we go on this, scan this QR code, and let's subscribe to Gary's YouTube channel, because we need to get him to at least, he wants to live 200 years. Let's get him to like at least 200 subscribers. So scan. Okay. And there is a subscribe button. There we go. Turn on notifications. Right? So I see like at least 20 of you did this, but by the end of my talk, like when I finish my talk, I'll be making rounds, double checking if you subscribed. So, and watch out. So Gary has a security here somewhere, so we'll be making rounds together. With that said, back to my talk. No privacy, no freedom. First of all, how many of you here in the audience agree with this statement? That without privacy, there is no freedom? Okay. 50%. And then we have the backstage as well clapping. Like, I hope by the end of my talk, we all will be able to raise hands and say, hey, without privacy, there is no freedom. And I will be going in detail on that. Also, I love for my presentations to be interactive. So I will make sure that I finish at least like 10 minutes before allotted time, so we have time for Q&A. But also no need to wait for Q&A. You know, if I'm doing particularly bad with this presentation, like feel free to boo, right? We go boo, or if I inspire you in a good way, feel free to clap. So let's try that out, right? Like you can boo or clap. Clap. Oh my God. I mean, luckily I have this mask underneath. I'm blushing. But yeah, that's why masks are very useful. So let's get started with looking at the history, because for most of the human history, privacy existed by default. And it wasn't because societies particularly valued it or there were decrees that are protecting it, but because it just existed as a natural right, right? And speech was and still is ephemeral. Then memory back then was local, and records were expensive to search, store, keep, maintain. And the analog world, it has this nice property that there is this enforced forgetting. And this mattered way more than we realize, because only with advent of technology and digital did we run into this problem where suddenly it became possible to preserve information perfectly and indefinitely. At this point, we have so much information about so many things, and it costs us almost nothing in comparison to when you look at the ancient cultures and how much it cost them in scribe, in materials, in all the other stuff in order to preserve that information. right now, not only we're able to store the information for almost no cost, but with the advent of internet, that same information gained the superpower of being able to instantly copy and replicate itself around the planet. And the thing now is that we look at the situation and say, hey, we live in the freest time we ever lived, right? We have so many freedoms. But just if you look at it from slightly different perspective, you look at this current slide, but you can also realize that we live in the most comprehensive surveillance system ever devised. And the thing is that governments no longer, they need to like come to your door and do like the whole knock knock that Trump especially loved, like knock knock, may I come in? It's not that they don't need to do that anymore, and not even governments, but corporations now do not even need to guess who you are or what you want. They have so much information on people that for majority of people, corporations know better than individual itself what is it that they want. It's because the moment now you open an app on your phone to send a message, make a payment, do whatever, there is this state of de facto total visibility, because there are so many trusted third parties between you and the services that you are using. And it's all because of the convenience, damn convenience. And that whole thing with us desiring connection, desiring convenience, desiring to participate in modern life, to be part of digital commerce. Like all that has caused this situation where there is a forfeiture of your private data and by extension, your freedom.
BitBlockBoom started because we were outsiders and we needed a place that felt like home. Stockyards were always a place for people who didn't fit in. Let's go take a look at the cow town. Put on your hat. Let's go. Stockyards weren't just a cattle town. It was a place for cattlemen, traders, outlaws, and gamblers, people that were building something new. And that sounded familiar. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid were known to spend time here, and Bonnie and Clyde stayed right here in the Stockyard Hotel. Hotels were great, but they're too normal, and Bitcoin is anything but normal. So we moved BitBlockBoom to a place with some edge and some history. They still run Longhorn Steer down this street every day, just like they did 100 years ago. And BitBlockBoom, well, it's just a few steps away. This is Mule Alley. This is where relationships are made. Bars, restaurants, rodeos, hangouts. Mule Alley is the place to come when the BitBlockBoom day is done. BitBlockBoom was built for people who didn't have a home, and the same thing applies to the Stockyards. Seems like we finally found a home. See you at the Stockyards.
What I really want is to see that people are opting out of this digital fiat panopticon. What I want to see is that, especially now in the age of AI, they realize that it doesn't even need to be them who are, making a mistake of going more and more into surrendering their data. It can be someone else. Like we all now use AI models, right? And nasty side effect of all of that is if you are in touch with someone, you're emailing someone, you're exchanging messages with someone, and that person is feeding your conversations, your data into AI, like you're by extension being the one exposed. And this is why I chose to wear a mask. For a long time, people were looking at me and being like, Rockstar, come on, man. must be hard to breathe under that, right? Like, why are you doing it? It's so much easier, just uncover your face. But I wear this mask as a symbol of a bigger fight. You know, I want this mask, even if it's uncomfortable sometime, to signal that I refuse the assumption that participation in modern society requires that, you surrender your private data. Thank you. That it's like, if you want to be on stage and promote privacy, that shouldn't require you to surrender your likeness, to put your private self into public domain. And I'm also very thankful to Gary, to BitBlockBoom, to other conferences that are like, okay, Rockstar, your fashion choice is your own. If you want to come out with N95 mask, you can do that. If you want to wear bandana, you can do that. But what I want to do with that is to signal that I'm just one of many people that are making an active choice to reclaim privacy as a fundamental human right. And I did that, yet over the years, many people advised me to, stop with that. That instead of like, okay, Rockstar, now people know who you are. Now you got to switch to your legal name, you got to stop with the mask. You need to comply more. You need to trade privacy for access, right? To be welcomed in certain rooms and to be able to carry fancy titles, be a chief technology officer, be this, be that, participate in public companies, right? But what these people fail to understand is that for someone like me, if I see now in the audience that I have inspired one person to take their private data and privacy more seriously, like, that is worth more than any kind of benefit I would gain by complying. So I do hope that this talk inspires you all more in that direction. That even though maybe some people, will find you paranoid or too obnoxious if you're protecting your privacy, keep doing it. Because the world towards which we are going, like the world that includes AI, uh, the private self will be really the only thing that you have. Like, that's what will make you uniquely human. And I really looking at all of that, when I see the trade-off that people are trying to make me switch towards, like, I just see that it's not for me. It's like, I don't want to be in those type of rooms that require ID to enter, or that require me to look certain way. Because I would say that my life is way better, right? And even if I ask you, should Uncle Rockstar unmask himself? No, no, no. There you go. Like, the current setup that I have and the current life is way better because it includes privacy. That's the thing. Is it, once you cross the certain threshold, what happens for you is, because you defended your privacy, you stayed out of certain rooms that demand, self-betrayal and KYC and presenting ID. You stayed out of those rooms, but you got into better rooms, rooms like this, where you're surrounded by people who better understand your choices, and then don't mind that you're on the stage wearing a mask. That, some people I see, sir, you're smiling so much. You love my fashion choices. It's about that. It's like, be in the rooms that people value you for your proof of work, your accomplishments, your values, not in the rooms where you're measured by, your public image on TV shows, or your compliance or willingness to present ID. And if you do that, you will be going in a good direction. And that, to me, is the core conclusion of cypherpunks. That once you refuse to compromise on privacy, only then do you step out of these modern fiat panopticons prisons. And only when you do that, you're free, going to where you're destined to be, where that higher force wants you to be. So otherwise, if you keep maintaining those public connections that depend on KYC, they will pull you in directions that are not yours, and I would really advise you to embrace what the crypto anarchist manifesto says so poetically. It says, like, arise, you have nothing to lose but your barbed wire fences. Because I would really ask this group, do you really want to live in a world where people apply for job over LinkedIn, right? Who wants to live in that world here? Come on, raise hands so we can boo you. Oh, boo. No, I mean, to me, really, this information madness of the modern world is nowhere near as obvious as on these social networks like LinkedIn, like social networks, where people, scan their ID front and back, upload it, and then that's the kind of the hook that they always know that this third party has their information. And now, they need to kind of be trained to repeat certain behaviors and post certain stuff in exchange for visibility and opportunity. It's the whole, hey, are you on LinkedIn? Oh, let's look at your history, what you posted, so we know if you're a good candidate for the job. It's terrible. I mean, to me, I look at all of that, and I go, like, people give me trouble for wearing a mask, but I look at these people, that train every day and have never been in a better physical and mental shape, work 14 hours a day, 4 children and a husband, and perfectly balances, private and work life. They're like chronically online, endlessly posting, and I wonder, do they realize that they're wearing a mask online? Right? That, I guess they're hoping someone will see that and be like, okay, you can now level up. I'm gonna uplift you. But it's crazy, really, to see that and understand that these people are specific public persona / mask online. And the thing that worries me the most in all of that is that privacy is not only critical for individual, it's critical for healthy society. And Cypherpunk's manifesto says this so well when it opens up with privacy is necessary for an open society in an electronic age. It's because open society in a digital age actually can't exist without privacy. It will always end up being some kind of mutant, crazy type of society you don't want to live in. Like, it can't be open. It's because, imagine, like, what would happen if this world would not survive if all the private data that's now private was made public overnight. Just wouldn't survive. Like, we all here, we have our private data, we have secrets, which is a higher level, But the private data is, and the fact that you can keep certain data private is what makes society function in an open way. Because societies really depend on individuals to keep that data private, and that individuals are not only able to do that, but to handle the information that they need to process. That individuals can struggle, can heal, can resolve conflicts without any kind of permanent public records and permanent public judgments. With the whole, oh, you've done this, now we need to punish you and it needs to be known forever. Like, it's terrible. Because even when I, like, often when I stand on stages like this, I do look into the audience and I look at all the faces and I wonder, you know, what kind of injustice have you suffered? You know, what kind of a pain do you carry? Because look at Tidwell over there. Yeah. He has suffered profusely last 12 hours. My AI has destroyed him in chess twice. 3 times? No, twice. Third rejection was the fact that you asked her out, even though you have a wife. And she said, for the record, she said that you can go on a date if you bring wife. So, but the thing is, we all have been through challenging situations. And it's the fact that we deal with them privately. Like, I look at you in the audience and, you know, you're present, you're smiling, you're engaged, you're participating. But maybe today is the worst day of your life. I don't know. And what I actually extremely appreciate is that you're keeping the worst of what's happening to you for yourself, and you're giving the best to the rest of us publicly. So the fact that you privately can keep the worst, publicly give the best, is what makes the society function. And I really, again, I don't know, but if you're dealing with something hard, I thank you on behalf of all of us, because you're dealing with it, you're solving it for the benefit of the whole society. So, last few slides, I do want to take a look into how can we then empower individuals in concrete ways so that they can increase the quality of life, of their own life, and better be able to deal with the demands that world is throwing their way. And for me, it always starts with structuring. I am an extreme example of structuring, where for Bitcoin, I have a dedicated identity. For my private life, it's completely different identity. And you don't need to go that hard right away, but anything that you see in your life that is a hobby, that is your interest, that is getting to the point where you're investing at least like 1 hour of your day into that, give that identity a name, give it resources. Start with a phone number, an email address, maybe give it a dedicated device like a phone. And people are actually doing exactly this nowadays with setting AIs on Mac minis. I see the screenshot with the whole Claude bot. The problem is that instead of setting up a dedicated identities for AIs, people are giving them keys to their own life. So don't do that. Don't give your AI bot your email right away. Set up a proper separation, because if you feel like lazy in that moment, like, okay, I just don't want to spend an extra hour to get my start 9, get my hardware device set up, everything separately on then don't think only about your private data. Think about private data of others. We all have a significant other partners, some have kids. Do not sacrifice their own data that is in your email folders and other places. Do not sacrifice that on the altar of the latest trendy frenzy. So set it up properly. And what I recommend, as someone that has suffered through this like really intensely, is like, do not go with more than 3 identities. Don't go just Uncle Rockstar. There's like 5 of me. Like, keep it at 3 at most. And I guess separation of 2 identities, I think most people get, and that's between personal and business. Especially in business, there is that saying where people are like, "Oh, it's business, it's not personal." And I always reply, like, for me, everything is personal. Those people that say that, I know they want to, scam me for something, like backstab, like, "Oh, it's business." Well, do it with someone else. But people get that the stuff you do in business is different than what you would do in private. Like, you have a boss said do this, and you're going to comply. In private life, you would just, say to that person to get away. So lean into that, leverage that, and separate everything. Separate phone numbers, email addresses, Bitcoin wallets, Nostr keys. Nostr is amazing way to start with that second identity. So do that, because the first big success that you will get and you will see is when you can clearly see the borders between these identities. And when your private pictures and messages, they're on private profile, like identity devices, and then everything else, business, is on another. And most phones and devices nowadays have this ability to turn on and off profiles. Uh, I can tell you that it's so great, in lack of a better word, but amazing that I have ability on my phone to press a button and turn off the business slash Rockstar file off. So I click a button, Rockstar is not getting any messages, it's not getting any calls, anything. I can focus on my private life. And I really think this was the big vision of cypherpunks, that we need to segregate and safeguard our data, because only when we are doing that and we build that system can we do what is the core of privacy. Can we selectively reveal ourselves? If we're in a position where our data is already revealed to some parties, then we're not doing that. Like, we have no privacy. So last but not least, if you need me to persuade you more with why we need privacy, there is this great meme. But going back to how things are developing, again, privacy will be maybe the most valuable thing that you can possess. And governments, big corporations, people with agendas, they will all come to you and try to persuade you that it doesn't matter. But in the age that's ahead of us, where AI and technology will be able to produce anything, and I mean literally anything, Bitcoin is one small exception. But whatever you can imagine now will be able to produce by AI and technology. In that world, your private data, what only you and maybe select few people know, like, that will be what makes you uniquely human and what you need to preserve. And you can see that already happening with super rich. What do they first do when they secure their wealth? Well, like Mark Zuckerberg, they suddenly buy all the properties around them, erect fence, and then then tell us that privacy, doesn't matter. Like you can just upload data to Facebook. The thing is, though, like if you follow that example, you can see how important privacy is. And the issue there, though, is like I don't want to live in a world where only super rich have privacy. I want to live in a world where privacy is a human right afforded to everyone. Yes? So let us go towards that world where everyone is not only supported but encouraged to fortify their privacy, because I know it will be a way better world than this one. Because in a world where there is no privacy, there also can't be any freedom. Thank you. And I saw that X-Frog was showing me 5 minutes. I think we have 3 minutes, for questions. Yeah, I can hear you.
Do you think that the TryMaple.ai service is good for protecting privacy and interacting with AIs when you're not running a local model?
I think that the great thing about privacy is that privacy is it's not secrecy. So the trick is, how do you maintain the level of data privacy? And this is where having pseudonyms, using different services, will give you the level of privacy that you can have in order to get something done. So TryMaple is actually excellent service because it runs its own models and gives you access, and then you can pay in Bitcoin. Plus, from what they claim, they're not logging any data. So that's amazing. I do think in next 6 to 12 months, we will see that models that you can run on your hardware are good enough. But yeah, infinitely better than using OpenAI or Claude. And I would encourage anyone to try it out. And for those that, can't afford the tokens and Bitcoin and whatnot, again, you can use ChatGPT or Claude. Just don't open the account on your email that's tied to your identity.
So what's the first step for improving your OPSEC when you're thinking about even just your day-to-day personal footprint you put on the internet, and then you also have your professional one? Like, do you have different devices? Do you have to sign out of profiles constantly? Are you constantly closing sessions? Like, it's really inconvenient to find privacy. So what's the first step you would ask?
I would just say, like, the biggest problem for most people is that they have invested so much in their current identity that they're like, okay, it's too hard to start a new identity. So ideal time maybe when you're starting a new job or project, something that is paying you. For me, it was BTC Pay Server and working with Nicolas Dorier that allowed me to establish Rockstar identity. So do that, and you don't need to buy a separate phone right away or anything. Just starting with clean email, registering with that email on Mattermost, Slack, Telegram. Like Telegram, you need the phone number. But register where you start working. That's the start of your new identity, and over time, the old identity, can die. And as you practice that, as uncle tens of times, you will get good at it. But just go towards more privacy because your life will be way better.
Do you have a different gator?
Listen, X-Frog is interrupting me, and I'm gonna come talk with you. But thank you all. Like, you've been an amazing audience. So